In this video, we are going to discuss a heavy mech which is reviled by some and forgotten by others, and in both cases, perhaps unfairly. A Star League design, and one which is remembered for its time in its era, and its return to form in the clan invasion. This machine is perhaps one of the best sleeping hits of these times in comparison to its peers, and is perhaps ahead of its time in many respects, beyond the advanced technology its weapons bring to the field. The younger, bigger brother of the Locust, today we are going to talk about Bergen Industries' Champion. A heavy mech weighing in at 60 tons, the Champion would first appear at the opening of the 27th century, namely 2602. It was constructed in a strange way, as a follow-up to its more famous stablemate, the Locust, despite being 3 times its size. The Champion was meant to be a heavy recon design, with a secondary task of being a strike battlemech. Even outside of this, it makes up a competent component of a unit that is a backup to a light recon team should they need assistance that can at least peripherally keep up with them, or is paired well in general with mechs moving at a comparable speed. Unfortunately, it's often misused and deployed in the role of a mainline battlemech, or even as a trooper, which has damaged its reputation among some of its operators, at least when used after the restoration of the design after the discovery of the Helm memory core. During the Star League, the Champion was a popular mech with the SLDF, as they used it in its desired role, and was used often in the bush wars that appeared during the League's golden years, though it is notable that even during these times it did have its detractors. After the fall of the Star League, the Champion would suffer immensely with its production facilities destroyed and the technology surrounding its weapon systems fading into Lostech. However, its downgraded form, despite how incredibly rare it was, did have a good rapport with its pilots, likely having to do with these machines being hard to replace, leading them to be employed properly as they were originally designed. The most prominent configuration of the Champion during the Star League, and later during the clan invasion, would be the CHP-1N, and this would be the variant first seeing use in the SLDF, as well as in clan space and the early succession wars. To obtain the speed needed to be the heavy recon mech it was designed as, the Champion comes installed with a 19-ton VLAR 300 Fusion standard engine, which gives it a maximum speed of 86 km per hour, or 8 movement points in the tabletop game. This gives the Champion excellent mobility for its size into even later eras, but at the cost of a huge portion of the mech's overall weight. Still, designed as a heavy recon unit, this gives it the speed it needs to perform that role, and is not so heavy as to deprive the mech what it needs for its offensive capabilities. There are no additional heatsinks installed to the CHP-1N, which is also using single heatsinks. This is something that could be a problem, and will result in it needing to heat cycle to avoid the risk of overheating. This was not installed this way because it is adequate, but because the Champion, trying to satisfy all of its goals and requirements, is starved for weight. The tonnage has to come from somewhere, and in this case, it's the heat sinks that suffer. Designed to have weapons across very close, short, and medium ranges, the Champion has an array of armaments which can only add to its damage as it closes in with its targets. The biggest and most powerful offensive system on board is its level-in LB-10X autocannon, which weighs 11 tons and has 2 tons of ammunition, and is also fitted in the right torso. This weapon has an excellent range, matching that of a PPC, and can hammer targets with the loaded ammunition on board, either installing heavy rounds to act as a normal autocannon, or scatter rounds acting as a deadly shotgun, depending on the preference of the pilot prior to being deployed. The next weapons bracket it has approaches shorter ranges, with twin Magnum Mark II medium lasers as well as a Harpoon SRM missile rack with 6 tubes. And all of these are installed into the left torso, including the ammunition. These systems in tandem at closer ranges start to add more weight to the Champion's fire, but starts to stress its heat management abilities. Finally, at the closest possible range is the last weapon system on board, a pair of Martel small lasers in the center torso, adding one last biting bit for its combat capabilities for targets that come within 90 meters. The Champion's weapons are very impressive for its weight and speed. The LBX autocannon gives it reach in almost every range where it needs to participate, and it has an abundance of ammunition for it. Should it choose to close in, or should its opposition close with it, it can unleash a deadly array of lasers and missiles to make its enemy regret being near it. All of this works in tandem with excellent speed as well, and in terms of fighting ability in close, it seems to have the edge over both the Dragon and the Quick Draw, two of its peers which move at the same speed. The Champion, however, has one other space it needed to cut weight to make all of this possible. That, unfortunately, is the category of its physical defenses, or armor. 8 tons of ferrofibers is affixed to the mech, attempting to mitigate, quite frankly, its limited amount of protection for its weight. While it is as protected or slightly better than that of a Quick Draw, neither are known for their durability. The Champion also has ammunition in both of its side torsos, which can become exposed if it takes a moderate level of fire from a near peer or peer adversary. As a total package, when used to engage its desired targets, or when used to back up lighter lances and formations, the Champion 1N does more than an admirable job at handling itself. Even against heavier mechs, it can use its speed to flank its opposition, potentially landing devastating blows on exposed sides or rear armor. Its weapons are diverse and play into most scenarios it will find itself in, and barring jump jets, its speed is enough that it can be very hard to corner for heavier mechs. What lets it down is its poor sinking ability, and the fact that it just doesn't have enough armor when facing off against mechs of the same weight or greater, and must rely on its speed to survive and thrive. It is definitely, however, not a mech to be ignored. But the story of the Champion doesn't end with the 1N. There would be a series of other machines, and even a failed LAM variant. But today we're going to be covering several configurations seen across the different eras of Battletech. To start, let's look at the CHP-2N. Despite coming later, this variant of the Champion uses downgraded components to stay in operation, and is a compromise in order just to keep the machine running. As it wasn't dependent on advanced internal systems barring its ferrofibers, it was able to be configured relatively easily to come close to the original design, albeit with flaws. Its armor, frankly, is even more inadequate, as it loses its ferrofibers, but has the same weight. And it's downgraded the LBX-10 to an AC-10. While this does give it similar capabilities, the loss of even more protection is very noticeable. It also loses range and ammunition options with the standard AC-10, at least in the era it was mostly deployed in. Though not a useless battlemech by any means, and certainly being more consistently armed than its immediate competitors, it is not without flaws, and must be piloted with even more care than its prior counterpart. Next, we'll talk about another Star League variant. Much like many 2750 designs, it has an SLDF Royal variant as well, used exclusively by Royal units of the former Star League. Double heatsinks solve most of its heat problems, while it replaces much of the equipment on board in order to accommodate a Gauss rifle and ERPPC. This changes its role significantly, from a heavy recon asset that brawls into something more akin to a sniper, and while the Gauss rifle is a fantastic weapon, it's hard to know if this is the best overall design or purpose for the mech. The final variant we'll talk about today is the latest, namely the CHP-3P. It's notable that this is the latest current model of the Champion as of the making of this video. It carries 4 inner sphere ER medium lasers instead of twin medium lasers and twin small lasers. In addition to this, it installs an Ultra AC-10 autocannon instead of its traditional LBX. The SRM system on board ends up being replaced by a NARC missile beacon. It would also install double heatsinks in order to handle the new heat load, as well as installing an improved C3 computer to enhance its performance in units. It also has a case for its ammunition, making it more survivable. To make all of this possible, it does install a 300XL engine, but it frees up some more weight for more armor, giving it 10.5 tons, attempting to mitigate any durability loss the engine may cause. While this is an excellent upgrade for the Champion, it is somewhat questionable about how good it is compared to some of the other mechs in the same weight range from the same era. The Champion is yet another machine many would forget about, or ignore, or in some eras it may even be seen as a half measure between introductory technology and newer, more sophisticated advancements. The truth is, though, that this is a hard-hitting machine that can mask its weaknesses in armor and heat with its strengths in firepower and speed. A competent striker, a more than competent heavy scout, and a great scout support asset as well, the Champion fulfills all of the strategic and tactical obligations put on it. This Battlemech will rarely fail its unit or operation when it is given a task which it is designed for. It can only be failed by reckless pilots or uncaring commanders. Thank you for joining me here today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. There is new content on this channel very frequently, and I'd appreciate your support as well. Also, a huge thank you to all the YouTube members who support this channel, as these videos are possible because of viewers like you. With that, I will catch everyone in the comments section below.